And welcome to Kelly and Wrightley. A fortnight to go.
I know.
And it looks more and more likely each week that Arsenal will be relying on Spurs to help them win the title.
No comment. All I can say is that the next couple of weeks are going to be nervy.
Arsenal do stay a point clear at the top after beating Bournemouth. Declan Rice proved his worth yet again. And David Moyes says that Rice leaving West Ham is the reason they haven't been great. We might have some news on the Hammers later in the show as well.
Erling Haaland was Manchester City's main man after he scored 4 against Wolves, and Pep Guardiola says he's back in business. Perfect time.
Sticking with the number 4 theme, Tottenham's 4-2 defeat at Liverpool means they've now lost 4 in a row for the first time since 2004 to dent their top 4 challenge. Big Ange says he won't change his ways, but should he?
And congratulations to Ipswich Town. They are back in the Premier League after 22 years. We'll talk about the Tractor Boys and which teams might be heading in the other direction.
Ed Sheeran, a huge Ipswich fan, and he sponsors their shirts.
Yeah? Thinking out loud. All I want is no bad habits from Arsenal in these last couple of games. Anyway, this weekend's been perfect.
And it's still just a point between Arsenal and Manchester City at the top of the table. If City win all of their remaining games, they will be champions. Liverpool are still in the title race mathematically, but it does look next to impossible. I think 0.1% is what the Opta supercomputer says. Aston Villa are in pole position for a top 4 finish despite losing at Brighton. Chelsea have moved above Manchester United. They play at Crystal Palace tonight, though. And at the bottom, Nottingham Forest win at Sheffield United has put them 3 points clear of the relegation places with just 2 games left to play. Burnley's defeat against Newcastle means they're close to needing miracles now to stay up. And actually, if Forest win at home to Chelsea at the weekend, they will be all but safe because of their goal difference. With us here in the studio, Darren Lewis and Tim Sherwood. Tim, just on this current title race and these remaining fixtures, got Arsenal taking on Manchester United, and everybody's saying, well, Manchester United aren't going to want to hand the title to City. You've got Manchester City taking on Tottenham, and everybody's saying, well, Tottenham aren't going to want to hand the title to Arsenal. But you've been in that situation when Blackburn were playing Liverpool on the final day, managed by a former Liverpool player and manager, and not wanting to hand the title to Manchester United. But it didn't necessarily go to plan for you.
Not on the pitch, no. I think when you hear the fans, they certainly didn't want Liverpool to win that game. Without a shadow of a doubt, you know, that Scouse humour, when you're taking a throw on, they were shouting to me, United are getting beat. And I said, really? And they go, no, just joking, lads. But listen, it's professional pride. When they're on the pitch, everyone tries their best to win the game, you know, and that's what exactly you're going to get between now and the end of the season. But the fans, they go there and they do not. Tottenham fans will not want them to win that game against Man City.
It's going to be interesting to see what happens. We're running out of games to look for a twist in the final stages of this title race.
Yeah.
For Arsenal, that maybe could have come in that early kickoff against Bournemouth. It was the sort of fixture where there could maybe have been an upset. Yeah,
there could have, but the way that Arsenal been playing, obviously people look back at the Villa came out of the blue, and even before that, the Bayern Munich. But I think that the response from those 2 defeats and the way they've played now has shown a lot of maturity. And there's not much more they could do in respects of trying to stay ahead of Man City. I think when you start the season, you know you're going to be needing to get 90 points, maybe plus. So for them to be this close, they've done well to run them this close. And it's still, like you say, it's not over, but again, it's very hard to not be in limbo as an Arsenal fan, even the Arsenal fans I'm speaking to, because they can't see where the slip-up's coming. You know what I mean? I'm praying that a slip-up will come, but, like, you have to look at the way that they have kicked into gear. At this stage of the season, again, it kind of happens with Pep after January. They really go on some mad tear. And it's very, very difficult to try and be positive about them slipping up, you know, as much as, you know, everybody in the Arsenal world wants it.
Yeah, because they've set these extraordinary standards. When you look, these are the seasons in which they have won the Premier League title. Obviously, the one in which they missed out is not in there. But when they do win it, generally, they're 90, if not 100 points. There's only that outlier in 2020, 2021, which was the season that was all played behind closed doors. They made 86 points.
When you look at that, Kels, the only thing I could take for that is how unbelievable Liverpool were, and how do you get yourself going again after you've done one season, 92 points, losing by 1 point, and then 97 losing by 1 point. Like, what more do you need to do? Liverpool...
Well, they won the league the next season after the 97 points.
This is why, as much as, yes, we're talking about City and Arsenal at the moment and Liverpool, people think are mathematically out of it, but what they did just try to hang on to this City team is what Arsenal have to now prepare themselves for. Because Liverpool, let's face it, they pushed them even in times where those numbers, what City are putting up, people who have won the league before are nowhere near those points. So you're seeing what a team has to do now, and this is why I do hope, from Arsenal fans' point of view, they recognise how hard this is.
And I
don't think anyone's pointing the finger at Arsenal this season. They can't do any more than they've done. I think they go on, they win the next 2 games, but I think City will win the next 3. You just never know. But last year, you could say, you listen to all the noise, they bottled it. They haven't done that. They haven't bottled it. No. You know, they've pushed one of the greatest teams we've ever seen in the history of the Premier League. All the way.
And if they do it, Tim, if they do the 4, they are the best in the Premier League.
But it's also this talk of bottling it, and we had these conversations at the end of last season. It's not about not holding your nerve. It's about like you said, about trying to reach those standards, about the toll that takes mentally and physically on the players, and just trying to keep that level of, optimism as much as anything.
Absolutely. I think both of them teams at the moment, Man City and Arsenal, fully strength squads. You know, last year we didn't miss, Saliba was missing, and he was like, can we do it without our centre-half? They ain't got to worry about that now. It's amazing how the 2 best teams have got fully fit squads in the running. But that's the way it works for Man City. It always does. You know, Haaland's come back so fresh. You know, he's had a little time off. He dips him into a game, gives him half a game. All of a sudden, he starts... they peak at the right time. It's just uncanny what they do every single year. But it's driven from one man. And that's the best manager we've ever seen. And that, for me, in my opinion, is Pep Guardiola.
Yeah. And
Ferguson is mine.
Because he did it for longer?
Just it. You know, I just want to get it out there. I have to go. Ferguson will always be mine, I think.
Right, well, that's a side debate. We'll have that debate. Maybe we'll do a special where the two of you can debate it. But I saw this described over the weekend, I think on Twitter or something, where the phrase somebody used was, this is a season where it has all the appearance of a title race, but nobody really believes that there is one. And that's because Manchester City are so relentless at this stage of the season.
Yeah, my view on this stage of the season is that City know their way home from here. They know their way home after a night out from here. You know, they are the kind of team that mentally, when you have already coped on so many occasions with the pressure of negotiating the final few furlongs, it doesn't matter who you're up against. You've got that belief in yourself that you can do it. And you look at Arsenal, they've got the best defence and the best attack. They still can't reel them in. Liverpool, on that graphic we just saw a couple of seasons ago, they had the best defence. They conceded only 26 goals. We all know how many goals they can score up front, and they still couldn't do it. And I think it's a combination of that belief and the quality that they have in the side as well. And I think all of, certainly the media fraternity, looking at what City have done, I think the biggest achievement for Arsenal is that they had for a long while, convinced the media fraternity that they could do it. And yet the City have just bided their time, waited with, and come through. And it's Guardiola, he trains the team to come good at the right time. And the numbers, I was talking before about the numbers, in the last 3 seasons, from the turn of the year, they've played 56 times, they've won 43 of those occasions and only lost 4. And that is because Pep trains them to come good in the second half of the campaign.
You sound like the media fraternity has give up hope.
I think they have. There's a real fait accompli about it now because they just don't lose from here.
We're going to have to see. You have to believe, and I would say the fans have to believe. But then from the players' point of view, what's happening now, I should say, from Arsenal's point of view, that people will, if it doesn't happen, then they go back and they nitpick about, well, if you've done this, and you're not meant to do that.
No.
You're meant to just... You're not meant to be perfect. You know, you're not meant to be perfect. And so when you look back and people talk about West Ham to me, people talk about Fulham, obviously recently we're talking about Villa. I think that the mental stage at what these Arsenal players are at now, they're ready for it. But I'm not sure if they understand the enormity of what they've got to do. This is why, again, I can have to refer back to Liverpool, 92, losing by 1 point on 92 points, losing now on 97 points, and in the next season, totally blitzing the whole thing that's the mental place that Arsenal have to
as
get
players,
themselves
if
to.
you're in a dressing room and you've done all that those teams have done, and Pep's not going anywhere, so you've got to go again. Is there an air of resignation? Do you think, oh my God, we've done all this, and
you know that because you're so close with this set of players, there's certain players that can come in that will give you the boost to say, right, with him, we can go and do that. That kind of boosts you again to make you go again, because you get fresh impetus, fresh players, fresh blood, and then that's when you add that player to the squad, or a couple of players who you see are going to improve it, and then you say, right, with these three, we can go better than that, and that's why you have to hope that Arsenal are probably going to hopefully try and do if it doesn't happen.
Arsenal have done that though this year, haven't they? I mean, with Declan Rice,
Yeah.
I mean, they brought
Kai,
in a player.
you have to mention Kai.
Took them to another level. You know, but they still can't get over the line. So it'd be really damning if they do not. And it's hard for any of us to put a finger on it and just say, well, it's experience. That's what it's down to. When I did it, we looked at our manager. Our manager had done it as a player. He'd done it as a manager previously. So we took belief that he will get us over the line. He will guide us and show us the way. But when you're looking on the other side, if you're in the Arsenal dressing room, you have to keep believing that there might be an upset. Something might just happen. Liverpool done it. You know, take belief in what Liverpool did. But did Liverpool do it when there was no crowd there? Is that taking the edge off a little bit?
I think that's even harder.
Towards
when you haven't won it for 20
Yeah, but they won it. There were
towards the
25 points before everything closed down for COVID. 25 points clear at that stage. So it was the following season that they struggled when they fell away, and Man United ended up
again
second.
For me,
quite a way off.
There's something to be taken from that Liverpool team that won it after those 2 years. There's something you have to find. I'd love them to be able, the Arsenal boys, to be able to sit down with those guys and say, when you missed out by 1 point there and 1 point there, how did you go again afterward? How did you get it going again? And I think something will come back to the players. You know, obviously the manager's got to take a massive amount of credit for that, for keeping those players hungry after going so close. But it's something that you have to do it so as then you can say you've done it and you can do it again. You have to keep pushing City like this because they are the best. You know, they've got the best manager. You have to say they've got the best squad, probably in the world in respects of a whole squad. So you have to be making sure that you are bringing it A+ every game.
It's interesting when you talk about the squad and it being the best in the world, because clearly they're very capable. But if you look at individual players within the squad, other teams could have had them and chose not to. Akanji was offered to a number of clubs in the Premier League before he went to City. They declined to have him, so City said, we'll take him. Alvarez, West Ham came close to signing him before he went to City. There are so many other players. Tottenham had a deal in the palm of their hands for Jack Grealish.
Yep.
Decided he was cost too much money, and then obviously they got him to sign a new deal, and then he went to City for substantially more. But other teams had opportunities to take individual players in that City side, and they didn't. What Guardiola's done is put them all together and made the sum of the parts even better. You know, improving individual players, getting that collective spirit between them has meant that despite what has emerged as a rival, as a threat to them, they've got complete belief in what they're able to do, which has got them to where they are now.
Yeah, and evolving continuously as a squad, and not having those kind of wholesale changes. It's been tweaks, as you say, every season. Manchester City then managing to get the job done on Saturday evening. Erling Haaland with 4 goals in that one on May the 4th. So to continue the Star Wars theme, so it was followed up by Brighton beating Aston Villa, who beat them 6-1 earlier in the season. So May the 4th be with you was followed by Revenge of the 5th. It was a massive handbrake to try and get that one in. I just really like that.
I like it.
But look, for Erling Haaland, there's been criticism of him. There's an element of revenge with that. And he talked in his post-match interview, you know, about kind of trying to answer his critics, because it hasn't been seen as a vintage Haaland season compared to the total domination of the league that he enjoyed last time out. And yet he's still 5 points clear in terms of the Golden Boot.
Yeah, well, this is
5
why.
goals clear, not
Yeah,
points.
but the thing with it is, Kels, is that he's a world-class striker. He's 23. And there's aspects of his game that he's working on. Yeah. But, like, if we're going to go...
That's only his 4th headed goal in that as well this
season. And you see how high he was.
Yeah.
The thing is that when you look at someone like Erling Haaland, the way he's blasted onto the scene in world football, and especially in the Premier League, and how he just dismissed it in respects of winning the Golden Boot, just blasted through. You're still talking about a player who is learning how to be a striker. I think that, and probably one of the things I was thinking about the other day, Kels, is when he's growing up, he's so big, he's so powerful, he's so physical. There's not much you could teach him in respect of holding a ball because someone's going to try and come and rough you up and that, because he'll just turn and probably run against those 12-year-olds, 13-year-olds. So it's not something that he may be... The same with Romelu Lukaku.
Yeah.
Same problem he had is that when you look at him as a striker and his link-up in some of the time, it can fall down, because I don't think they've done a lot of that when they're younger, simply because of their physicality and the fact that they were so great at scoring goals. Erling Haaland, all he needs to do is just tighten up his centre-forward play, like you have to do, any striker does.
Honestly, and there's a relevance to this, because the Football Writers chose their player of the season this season, and it was Phil Foden, and justifiably so, because Phil... If it were not for his goal, City wouldn't still be in the title race with Erling Haaland out.
Yeah.
But last season, Erling Haaland scored 52 goals in all competitions. He broke the record for the most goals in a season. Obviously, before that, it was Cole and Shearer. You played with him. I think what Haaland's done is set a bar so high that he could do something extraordinary, and people think it's ordinary.
Yes.
He has scored more goals than it took for Harry Kane to win the Golden Boot a couple of seasons ago. He's already scored more goals with a couple of games to go.
Yeah.
And I think in years to come, we will look back at the time we had a footballing phenomenon in this league and think, why did we not appreciate what we had?
Yeah. But that was the case with Sergio Aguero, and Manchester City would get quite irritated by that, the fact that they felt he wasn't hugely appreciated. And I wonder if, particularly in this City side, is because everybody's part is as important as the player next to them. He's not, you know, you look at that Manchester City side and you can say, yeah, Haaland's great, but you could make a case for several other players in that side as to how important they are.
I think that's fair. So right. I think that's fair. The thing that I think strikes me about Haaland is that people, this faux argument about he doesn't do anything outside the box, and yet he did all those things when he was at Dortmund, you know, chasing down, you know, running the channels, being able to provide a pass at the right time. But also, set against that, some of the greatest strikers in history. Go back to Paolo Rossi, when I fell in love with football in 1982, and, you know, he did nothing. He was literally a goal hanger, chatting to the goalkeeper.
Bam.
The ball comes in, bam.
That's what it's
he scores
about.
goals. And I think since then, there have been so many outstanding penalty box players, and that's what... We talked to Ollie Watkins, and he said, what's the secret of your success? He says... Unai Emery wants me to play within the 18-yard box. And we say, isn't that great? But then he does it and he says, oh, his game is limited. It just blows my mind how he doesn't get...
Because he's so tall, because he has such a physical presence as well, it maybe doesn't look as elegant as other players look at times. And sometimes that's why... Not that but when you talk about players and body language, and somebody like an Ozil, well, he's lazy, because his body language is very relaxed. So you look at Haaland, because he's big, maybe he's not as elegant, but they're all pretty much doing the same.
Because you watched the game the other day, Kels, and it's like, you know, and people are looking at it now with a little bit more scrutiny, because people want something to criticise, they want something to find fault with him, and so they'll say maybe he's link-up play, but even the last couple of games, I've seen the way he's moved, the way he's given himself half a yard so as he can give himself the time. It's something that I had to do. You make the move to give yourself the time, so if your touch is bad, you can get it right again. But I'm seeing him doing that now. I'm seeing him laying it off first time. I think for one of the chances that he should have had, he was in, like, his own third, laid one off down there, and then turned and bombed it up there. You know, we're going to see all that part of his game tighten up, and then what people are going to say.
He plays a part anyway by just being on the pitch, because he occupies the two centre-halves, because he's always looking at that number, he's taking them back, allowing Phil Foden to come on the half, turn in that space. Kevin De Bruyne, exploit it. If you ask them City players, are you a better team with him in it or with him out of it? They will all say the same answer, when he's in it. When he's in it, he occupies them, he keeps them back. And when teams sit back against him, what he can improve on is what we saw there, the heading goals. I think when he gets across people, he's all right when he's jumping behind them like he did at the weekend. I'll be working on him all the time and getting in front of people. He does it with his feet. He needs to do it with his head. If he does that, mate, I mean, like, it's hard to fault him anyway for goal-scoring prowess, but I think he can still get better, I really do.
It's such a good point, because in I think it was 94 where... Hristo Stoichkov, the Bulgarian striker, played alongside Romario for Barcelona. And that's exactly what Stoichkov used to do, is barrel-chested, big, burly forward, and he'd draw defenders out of position, and Romario would run into the spaces. And the amount of goals they scored that way, it was just incredible as a partnership. And that's exactly what Haaland does. He's not just all about that, but he does occupy defenders simply by being on the pitch.
Pep will be telling him, don't come in there. Do not come into there. Keep them back. You know, and when Alvarez is playing, you see centre-halves jump from their position and go and accost him in there. Not with Haaland. They can't afford to leave that space because them players in midfield, they've got wing mirrors. They just see the little pass, they flick it round the corner, and once he gets in behind you with his pace, you're not catching him.
Yeah.
I'm imagining you with a wing mirror.
Yeah.
I saw you going to say that.
Do you know? I think they did that as an April Fool's one day in one of the papers. They had
Wing mirrors on the boots.
Boots with like little wing mirrors on the side of them. It fooled a few people because sympathies. People were less suspicious maybe. But look,
getting over that,
as we head into the kind of final stages of the season, it's 3 more games for Manchester City because of everything that we've said. It looks almost impossible to say City are going to slip up at any one of these stages, but there is still the opportunity. We know, in fact, to be honest, it's difficult to say that Arsenal are going to slip up in those games, particularly now we know that home game against Everton. If Everton had been fighting for Premier League survival, that would have been a different fixture.
Yeah.
But now it just kind of, you know, for a lot of sides, well, in fact, for all the opposition, it's not too much.
Do you think it gives
really
them more
to fight
advantage?
For there. I don't know. What do you think?
To play, I don't. I think there's more freedom for teams when they've got nothing to play for. You know, because a lot of them players perhaps feel like their future's away from Everton.
Well, we're going to talk a little bit more about Tottenham and West Ham in a second, and they don't look like players who are playing for their future. Certainly not on the evidence of this weekend. So, but like you said, it can affect them either way. Manchester United, I think, is an interesting one because of that.
What they're capable of maybe doing.
Well, because there's uncertainty about the managerial situation. There's uncertainty about what's going to happen over the summer. The fact that there have been reports that everyone bar 3 young players is available to purchase should anybody sale. But it's kind of it's going to be interesting to see what happens with them. Yeah,
but like at the same time, what you can all Arsenal have to do, and is it's something that you hear all the time, especially at this stage of the season. You just got to go and beat them. I think it's a good time to play Man United with the way it's going, especially with Arsenal needing to win. And it's not, Man United could turn up. They could really cause a problem because they've got players who can do that. Yeah. But you just have to look at the way that Arsenal have been playing now, the maturity of them now, and obviously knowing the enormity of not losing that. If they lose that game, they know it's done. So it's a game that I do expect Arsenal to win simply because of the way they're playing and the way Man United are playing and the mindset they're in at the moment. But again, you look at those games with City in, you look at Fulham. Can Fulham stop them? I'm not sure away from home because Man City away from home have got even more of a never say die mindset if it doesn't go wrong. And you have to look at it and you think, can they honestly hold Manchester City out for 90 plus minutes? You can't see it. And then the rest of the other 2 games, you just feel like I can't see them losing. You have to have hope, you know what I mean? Simply because
Manchester City at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium do not have a good record.
Last 2 seasons they were beaten.
Well, the thing about that is that as much as you could still see that maybe if a Tottenham team turn up and do cause them problems, Tottenham will have a 5-minute spell where Man City will punish them. I can't see them, from what I've seen from Tottenham for the last 4, 5, 6 games, seeing a Tottenham team that's going to find the energy and the capability to hold out a City team for 90 plus minutes.
Although that spell from Tottenham against Liverpool came when they were 4-0 down and were fighting an uphill battle because they have sort of limped towards the end of the season after a blistering start under Ange Postecoglou. So
Arsenal continue their title push. They've dropped 4 points this calendar year. We'll talk about Man City in a moment. Now, what about you two midfielders? What about Declan Rice and how he has adapted to Arsenal this season?
Cheap, isn't he?
Cheap.
I mean, what a player. He reminded me...
5 is cheap. I know what you mean.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This reminded me of prime Vieira, the way he played.
That's
box to box, fit, great on the ball, turning away from players, got an eye for a pass, good skill, can't get the ball off him, physically too strong for anyone, durable, doesn't miss any games. Just a fantastic player.
We just heard David Moyes talking about him, talking about why they're capitulations. He says Declan Rice. This ain't the Declan Rice who played for West Ham. This is the Declan Rice who's bombing forward, winning the ball high up the field, bursting into the box. 7 goals, wherever he's got, 8 assists this season. Never saw that at West Ham. If he was still at West Ham, we wouldn't be looking at him, talking about him in this light. Arteta and the Arsenal teammates have taken him to a new level. This boy's drive and determination is a leader He is an absolute manager's dream. He gives him no sleepless nights, ever.
Look at this, Tim. Look at the ground that he makes up.
This is right at the end, isn't it?
Look, he puts the burners on, Vieira. Now, it's not great marking, but I love the flick around the corner. What I love about the flick, he doesn't play it blind. He caresses that with a weighted pass along the floor and a saying to Trossard, go and finish it.
He's going first time hit it, isn't it?
Yeah, first time finish.
Yeah. So this is in the 97th minute of a very long and demanding season.
Yeah.
And you're 2 up. You could be forgiven, Tim, couldn't you, as a midfielder? Think, I'll just sit here. We've won the game.
Look at the stride.
Yeah. And now look at him. Now he goes.
He reads it as the timing. What a pass, though. Yeah. The slide rule pass. You know, he's gone that far. He ain't crossing that. He's getting his head down. He's smashed it from a tight angle. He scores a lot of goals from tight angles as well. He hits them hard and low. Great. Absolutely magnificent. Look, they've taken to him so well. Whoever that boy plays for in his career, the fans 100% will love him. It's like them putting a shirt on. They're going to give everything for the cause. He does never let you down.
Will he play further forward more often next season?
Well, same as today.
Arsenal, Arsenal by number 6, or maybe Partey, but whatever.
Yeah,
you know
they've been linked with Douglas Luiz, someone like that. But if Partey stays, I mean, he's played this way.
Get more out of him by playing further.
Yeah, same when Jorginho plays, and that's what that's a good thing about Declan Rice. He's adaptable. It doesn't matter who's playing alongside him. He'll play the game that needs to be played. Tim's right. When he was at West Ham, I saw this in Declan Rice, but he was more defensive because that was the job that
he had to be, didn't he?
Yeah, that was the job that's required. And as a midfield player, we've all been asked over the years to be either a number 8 or today you're sitting, the calibre opposition that you're playing against dictates how you're going to play today. But it doesn't matter who he plays with, he's just streets ahead of most.
Yeah. Let's go to Chris Foy about the penalty. OK, Chris, hello again. It was given on field, it stayed on field. Are you happy, correct decision that it was a penalty? We've seen a few of these, and I think if you are the opposition fans, or you're not an Arsenal fan in this case, you say, oh, Havertz has manufactured this penalty. What's your view on this sort of penalty, which we see quite regularly?
It's quite interesting. Don and I were chatting before, and whatever decision the referee makes, it's the wrong one. But in my opinion, once Travers comes sliding out and makes contact with Havertz, I don't think you can go any other way than give a penalty. I mean, I always put myself in the position of the referee, and on a situation like this, if I'm seeing the images that I'm seeing now, I'm blowing the whistle and I'm pointing to the... Just don't see it as anything else but a penalty mark.
See, he's not obligated, Mark.
That's the key, isn't it?
See,
is that right to say that Havertz is not obligated to hurdle the goalkeeper?
Well, I think the thing is, Mark, he doesn't have to, does he? I mean, he's got possession of the ball and he wants to retain possession of the ball, and the goalkeeper, you know, collides with him and takes him down. So I don't think there's many referees that say that wasn't, you know, you wouldn't give a penalty in that situation.
You can see the teammates as well. The Bournemouth players are not appealing for a dive. Until the end there, it's desperado stuff. But they know full well that if he goes and has a look at it, or the VAR are checking it, if there's any contact, the goalkeeper has been reckless. He's come out lunging. They know if there's any touch whatsoever, it will not get overturned. He waits there, wait.
So he does drag his left foot, Tim. I think if you don't support Arsenal, this is what you're saying.
Don't make
he's
the
dragging
challenge.
his foot.
Don't make the challenge if you're the goalkeeper. We've played in teams. I promise you, Tim will know exactly what I'm going to say. When you're a midfield player and you see a goalkeeper flying out, you're going, oh, no, what's he doing? He's going to give a pen away.
Yeah.
Just stay on your feet. If you want to dive, don't dive towards the ball. Just dive along the flight of the ball and player. Just make that angle. Once he comes out there, like I said, he's not obligated to jump out the way because the goalkeeper's flying at him.
So even though what you're saying is even though he's dragging his foot, that's fine because he doesn't have to get out of the way.
I mean, social media is no barometer, but when I put that on last night, I thought it was the correct decision at Wazy. Everyone thought he dived. Yeah. Well, if that's your point of view, fair enough.
And every manager, Don, if you're Arteta there, as soon as he goes in, you see the keeper coming out, what you are saying, you might say under your breath, and you wouldn't say it publicly, is go down.
Yeah.
Go down. I don't care. Go down. Hit the floor. Let the ref have him to make a decision. That's what you want.
The referee, I think, as Chris was alluding to there, the referee's damned if he does, damned if he doesn't.
Yeah,
he doesn't give the pen. There's a large portion where we're going, that was a pen, actually.
Yeah.
That's VAR missed that one. So he's in a real tricky scenario.
What about the disallowed Bournemouth goal there as well? Because there's been a lot of chat in recent weeks about Ben White on corners for Arsenal and leaning into goalkeeper to destroy it in the North London derby last week. So some people are saying, what is the difference between what Ben White does at corners and what Solanke did to Raya here?
I think this became a talking point for the simple reason of the delay on the whistle from the referee, David Coote. I think if he blows his whistle early for the contact by Solanke on Raya, we wouldn't be having this discussion, because I think in co-commentary, Matt Holland said, you know, it was a foul, and I think you can clearly see that he impedes the goalkeeper's ability to sort of clear the ball as well as he can. He sort of knocks him off balance. And then there was a delay with the whistle, you see. So what I would suggest is, if we try and keep it safe and keep it simple, blow the whistle earlier and it would prevent that. But in my opinion, Mark, I think that was a foul.
Well, Bournemouth manager doesn't think so. It looks like he's eased him out the way.
Well, Iraola's thinking, because he's just seen it on his little screen, he sees Saliba pull Billings' arm away.
Yeah.
So it's difficult to tell what chain of events happened first.
Yeah.
I thought that was very harsh, disallowing that goal. It's nothing I've seen Ben White do to Vicario and goalkeepers, a slight nudge. There might be a little bit more. But when you see, look, if you can try and see...
You don't think that's easing him out of the way and therefore a foul?
Well, Saliba's easing Phil Billing out of the way to the floor because he's pulled his arm. So that's what Areola sees.
Yeah, he is. To be fair to Areola, he was very fair. He said, Arsenal deserved to win the game. I have no complaints about the result. But I didn't think it was a penalty and I thought that goal should have stood.
Right.
What did you think about that decision?
For the decision on Raya, it's a foul.
Yeah.
I think if you look at Solanke, he looks at the goalkeeper, he sees him coming, he moves into him. He's not holding his ground there. But I agree with Don. I think there's a tug on Saliba. Whatever one comes first, referee hasn't even looked at that. It looks like VAR haven't looked at that. All they're concentrating on is the foul on Raya, and I think they got it right.
Chris, thank you very much indeed. Speak to you shortly. So Erling Haaland's had an average season and he scored 25 Premier League goals.
He's been missing for a month as well.
Yeah, he's been missing for a month. He's build-up play and all that.
You can't write him off.
You can't write him off. You can't miss him. But you know he's going to.
He got written off.
He got phase, isn't he?
He got written off about 4 months ago. What did he score? Was it 4 against Luton or 5? Just a goal machine. You feed him, he scores.
Yeah.
He needs service.
Oh, it's Sean Goat all over again, is it? Yes.
Slightly better than the goat.
Slightly better than the goat.
What about his pass, though, Rodri? Look, stand up. Whoop. A little bit more pace on it. He just guides it back into that corner. He can get better at that. He's not the best header of the ball.
No.
After that goal, people would be at home thinking, what are you talking about? I mean, look at that. Tremendous. He needs to... I like the ones, when they're coming across the face of people, get in front of your defender. Yeah. That is what he needs to improve on. That is he's OK. Listen, he played well. Once he's in behind you, there's absolutely no catching him. Grease lightning. I mean, he's fantastic in front of goal. I mean, he's had a real poor season, hasn't he?
He's scored 9 hat-tricks for Man City. I think I'm right in saying he's scored 21 senior hat-tricks.
I think his house is big enough to fit them balls in.
I think so.
It's a funny one because he's a funny one, I think, Erling Haaland, because I think as a defender, you'll half think you fancy the challenge because you know he normally doesn't get really involved in the play. So he's never going to sort of sprint away from you in terms of like grease lightning. So you feel as though you've got half an eye on him, but he's got clever movement and he'll get better. And once he pulls away, I mean, this is a brilliant goal.
Brilliant.
This is like
that's a great touch.
This is top draw, though.
Unbelievable, a great first touch.
He gets Kilman 1v1.
Yeah.
Takes a couple of touches, drops the shoulder. Lethal finisher.
So, did anyone doubt they were going to respond to what Arsenal did? I don't think so. Took him off a bit earlier. Let's talk to Chris about the first penalty. Wolves fans were a bit unhappy. Chris, I think maybe once upon a time this wouldn't have been given because there was a period, I think, when you were refereeing, when you went, if a player gets a shot off, they've had a chance and they haven't been impeded. The foul, if you like, has come a split second later. But that seems to have changed a bit. Are you happy that this was correctly awarded as a penalty?
I think even in when I was refereeing, Mark, I think this still would have been a penalty for the recklessness of the challenge by Nori, the way he flies into the challenge. You can see now he just, he misses the ball and gets the player sort of around the knee area. He's really late and it's a reckless challenge. The penalty is the right decision. I think if it had been cautioned for that as well, I don't think he could have had too many complaints, but in my opinion, that's a penalty.
Chris, thank you very much indeed. Lots for you to go through today. You happy that's a pen?
No pen. No
pen for you?
No. I just like disagreeing with him.
Pen? Yeah, I think so. Right, title race. Let's have a look at the games. We're down to, we can count them on the fingers of one hand. Arsenal have got 2 to go. City have got 3 to go. The goal difference is just narrowed up a little bit. And City have got an extra game, of course. 3 London sides they've got to play. Also go to Old Trafford, where they've got no decent record at all of late. Clearly they're going to have to win the last 2. Arsenal, you would imagine, absolutely. Can we really see City slipping up?
This reminds me of Liverpool, City over the years. When they get to this point, or even further back with about 10 to go, they win out and they win every single game.
Yeah.
I think this is what you're looking at. I can't see Man United, the form that they're in. They're unreliable. You can't trust them. They've got a depleted team. They do well to take something off Arsenal. I don't see it. Then at home against Everton, that's the sort of dream last game for them. Everton, safe.
Yep.
I see both teams winning every single game.
I agree.
Tottenham aren't going to do Arsenal a favour, are they?
Well, I think the players' professional pride, they want to win the game. They've got their own prize to chase, albeit an outside chance of catching Aston Villa in 4th place. But, you know, forget the goal difference. I think that will be level by the time Man City play West Ham. I mean, if it goes to that game, you've just seen what Chelsea done to West Ham.
Yeah.
I mean, that could be a cricket score.
The only one that you look at and you think Tottenham, City. It's the only one you've got a little bit like, but the form they're in and the form that City are in.
All Arsenal can do is keep City honest till the last day.
Of course.
That's all they can do.
It's all they can do.
City have not lost a game this year.
Yeah.
You know, and Arsenal have dropped 4 points.
Yeah.
You know, so
Two fantastic
two
sides.
fantastic teams. Keep them honest.